Hello, it's Alex Fergus here from alexfergus.com. In this video, I wanted to show you the new Aura Dash or the Aura Cloud dashboard and trends function. So, for those of you who have been following my blog and my website over the years, you'd know I'm a big fan of the Oura Ring. Depending on where you're watching this, if it's on YouTube, then I'll put a link to my full comprehensive review on the ring. If you're watching this within my website, then you've probably already read all of that. But this new cloud function, or the web dash or online dash, whatever you want to call it, is a recent addition to the Aura platform and the Aura features and functionality, I guess. I did put together a first look video a while ago when it first came out, but that was literally the first time for me logging in and playing around, so it wasn't a review as such. So today since I've been using the platform for a few weeks now, I wanted to put together a little bit more of a comprehensive review, especially now with the trends platform or functionality that's now been released. So there's some really cool data in there. So for those of you who have an Oura Ring, I mean, I'm sure you're going to love this because you can now see even more data, which is great. For those who have an Oura Ring and have been already using this, then hopefully you can learn a few things about the dash that you may not have known or you haven't been using. And for those of you who are still and ahhing about whether to get the Oura Ring, then hopefully this will help make you make an informed decision. I mean, it will show you some extra functionality that the app itself doesn't have. So anyway, all you do to access this, if you are Oura Ring user, head to cloud.auraring.com, okay, and just log in with the same details you log in with in the app, and then you'll end up on this screen. Okay, so this is the overview screen. Just one quick mention here. Notice it's still in beta phase, saying that there have been a lot of upgrades and tweaks and everything, and that new trends function is now released. So I mean, it works perfectly fine. Like, I don't know, I'm not too sure what's on the roadmap for Aura, but I'm sure, given the app's always been updated and improved, I'm sure it'll be the same with here, which is maybe why they've got that beta label there, but it works perfectly fine. So yeah, all right, so let's work through this. So this is the main dashboard. So obviously you can see all your sleep, activity, and what have they got up here? Lowest resting heart rate. All right, so the three key readings in the app are sleep, activity, and readiness. So I'm not too sure why the readiness number isn't graphed up there, but anyway, it's got heart rate. One thing I should mention, I'm recording this on the 5th of September 2017, which is actually my birthday, so happy birthday to me. But I have noticed that a lot of data is missing, all right? But I wear my ring every day and I sync it every day. So I've got to go back to the 14th of August before I see my data. Now, I'm not too sure why this could be. One theory is that I actually sync my app with my phone still in airplane mode. So I get up in the morning, take my ring off, put it in the charger, turn Bluetooth on my phone, sync the data, leave the phone off for about an hour as I do my morning routine and go for a walk and everything like that, come back, and then I'll turn my plane, onto normal, disable airplane mode. So, and I pretty much do that most days. The only time I may not do that is the odd weekend where I've got to check my phone or I forget to turn it on to airplane mode. So one theory or reason behind this, maybe because maybe the data only syncs when the ring's syncing. I'm not too sure. I'll have to try and find out. But maybe, if you don't leave your phone in airplane mode, it's probably not a problem for you. But I just noticed that then I was sort of waiting and refreshing and the data wasn't coming through. I mean, it is 2-3 weeks worth of data. So I generally check in here like every 2 weeks or so because I like the web dash more for trends and overviews, and for day-to-day functionality. I mean, that's what the app's great for, right? The web dash, like I'm going to show you soon, just shows you a lot more detail and shows more data on a longer term trend, which you can't really, it's hard to access on the phone itself. So again, like I know some of my clients and stuff are using this every single day, which is great, and they haven't mentioned this problem about the data not syncing up, so it must just be me. But anyway, they're using it every day. Me personally, I'm in here, once a week, once a fortnight, just to look at trends. Okay, so anyway, back to what we're seeing here. So what have we got? So at the top here, we've got total sleep over the last, what's showing on there, a month. We've got activity burn, low resting heart rate. Now, if you're first time watching this and you've never heard of Oura Ring, please go and read my review. Just Google Alex Fergus Oura or Oura Ring review, and you'll see the one by Alex Fergus. I break down all these metrics and explain them all there. I don't want that to be the purpose of this video. I just want to review the actual web dash. So let's pick a day. So we got Tuesday, the 8th of August. On that day, I sleep 9 hours and 9 minutes. Yeah, I sleep a lot. That's pretty typical for me. Activity burn based on my steps wasn't much. Lowest resting heart rate, 46 beats per minute, which is overnight. So my sleep score for that night was 89. So you've got, again, most of this data you get in the app. You can see all this data. You've got a full breakdown of your sleep. So you got total sleep, you got total REM. So 1.5 hours of REM, 1.5 hours out of deep sleep. Pretty good efficiency. Tranquility, which I don't think tranquility is in the app these days. So that's a new one. Latency, which is time to fall asleep. It's a little bit high there. Timing, which is circadian rhythm timing. Again, I'm pretty consistent with my bedtime and wake time, so that's a good one. Sleep score. So again, a lot of this data, except from the tranquility, is in the app. Sleep stages. Okay, here you get a really nice breakdown of the sleep stages. Again, you can see this in the app, but it's compressed into a little screen, right? So you're not getting, I'm just going to open up the app for my personal reference here, but you're not going to get the full data breakdown that you're going to see here with the web app. So if you're really into biohacking and you really want to see what's going on with your sleep, it's just a lot easier to see on here. You're still, with the app, you're still seeing your awake times, you're still seeing the REM, light, and deep sleep, but again, it's sort of compressed in a little bit. So if you really want to analyze, all right, what's going on down to like the minute, very hard to do on the app, just because you've got the one little screen with a few dots and time stamps on it, whereas here you can use the mouse, scroll along and see, all right, well, there's my first cycle, second cycle, third cycle, fourth, fifth, and then I'm into my light sleep. This is actually a pretty good night's sleep. I mean, I'm not too sure, again, this is last month actually, so I'm not too sure what was happening this night, but I woke up for a decent amount there. But you can see that first cycle, which is good, second, third, you can see those nice occurring cycles with most of your deep sleep happening earlier on in the night and then less at the end of the night, which is good, which is how a good sleep should be. Not too sure what happened here, but again, you can see all this stuff nice and easy, and it's very difficult to get this much clarity with the data on the app. So it's a really nice feature of this web dash, or the cloud. I'll just call it the cloud. I mean, I'm assuming that's what Aura want to call it, since I got the name there. So likewise with the resting heart rate, you can see all this down to, 5-minute blocks. Yeah, every 5-minute block it's got another reading on here, another number. So again, it lines up pretty well with the sleep stages up here. Heart rate came up a little bit as I woke up, and then I sort of relaxed again. Lowest heart rate throughout the night, 2 o'clock, which is good, happening in the middle of the night, which is, well, ideally it should be happening in the first third or so. So again, if you're really into quantifying your data, then this is great, right? Because you can see everything. Like, there's so much data being tracked from the ring, which is why I love it. You can see your lowest heart rate and the average. Yes, you can see the same data on your phone. It'll show you your lowest. What night was this again? Tuesday the 8th. I'm just going to pull it up so I can cross-check it with my phone. So right now on my phone, it's showing the same graph, but it's compressed a little bit, and it's showing the 46 low. But you can't see the actual numbers. You can't use your finger to see what's going on at each point. So again, this is why I only check in here once a week or so, because most of the data is really nice in the app. But if you want to take a really deep dive, then the web dash is where it's at. Heart rate variability. Now, let me just double check what I see on here again. Heart rate variability, you can't see the breakdown in the app. So this is one good feature here about the cloud. The heart rate variability overnight. Okay, so with the app, all you see is your average heart rate variability. You see the daily heart rate variability number and your trend. Okay, you can't see this breakdown overnight. All right, so that's one really good feature, and for some people who are really into the heart rate variability, they'll really like logging in here. As you can see, it's quite variable. I mean, my lowest was 39, and then my highest was 105. So there's a lot of volatility there. I'm going to cover heart rate variability in my Oura Ring blog using the methods, the algorithm, and the technology that Oura use on their device. So I'm not going to go into that in this video. Instead, this video is just to show you the web dash. So head over to alexfergus.com and just search for the Oura Ring article, or again, just type Alex Fergus Oura into Google and you'll get the article, and you'll see my full breakdown of the heart rate variability there. So again though, if you're into all this data, I mean, this is amazing. You can't see this on the app, so logging in here, you see a lot of data, right? And yeah, lots of peaks and troughs. I mean, it gives you an average, so I'm pretty sure the average is what the app's showing. Let me just scroll back to that particular date. What was it? Yeah, 70 was that date. So that number in the app is pulled from the average of this data. So again, that's great. Body measurements, so it's showing your temperature and respiration rate. So temperature does show up in the app. It's only showing this number, so I can see that right now. Respiration rate, you can't see this in the app. So that's a pretty neat feature. On its own, I mean, what does that mean, right? Like, that's great. 15.8, is that good or bad? I'll show you what that means later on, and I'll show you, how we can use that to our advantage. So that's what you're seeing on the sleep screen. To summarize again, you're seeing a little bit more data on the breakdown. You're seeing clearer graphs where you can actually look at a particular timestamp, and you can look across all three data points. So you can see, all right, well, when I was in a deep sleep, my resting heart rate was 51, 52, and my HRV was a little bit low. You can see it across all three, which is cool. Again, you can't see that in the app. You see your temperature, which is in the app, but then the other benefit is you see the respiration rate. So that's asleep. Activity, let's just click on here and we'll go into the activity screen. And I'm going to pull it up on my phone. So activity, seeing total calorie burn. Personally, I don't really care too much about this. I've just written an article on why calories don't matter. So check that out at my blog. I don't use it with my clients, but I know some people do. So if you're into that, great. Long periods of activity, that is a good number. I mean, you don't want to be sitting at a desk 9 hours a day and then going for a run and thinking you're quite active, because you're probably not. So that is a good number to look at. What do we got here? So we got a lot of the data points from the app. Okay, so I've just got the app in front of me now. We're seeing an activity time that's on the app. So, that was the day I was obviously working, 10.5 hours, not doing too much. It was a Tuesday. Move every hour. I only got one alert. I try and move quite a bit. I've got a kettlebell sitting beside my desk and I just do some swings every now and then. Actually, this day I really didn't do much activity, which is kind of sad. It's one of my lowest ones of all time, actually, looking at the data. Daily targets, like I said, really low. So this is in the app as well. Training frequency, really low. That's just because I'm not training much at the moment. Training volume, that's also in the app. Recovery time and activity score. So all of these are in the app anywhere. But again, you just see, it's easier to read and interpret, right? Activity intensity. Yes, this is in the app, but it doesn't look anything near as detailed as this graph here. So all you're seeing in the app is a few bars. You're seeing inactive bars, low bars, medium bars, high bars. Here you've got the same breakdown. I'm assuming that's inactive, low, medium, high, but you're seeing, is it down to the minute? Yeah, it looks like it's down to the minute. So there's a lot of detail here. So you can see here I was sleeping, I woke up, and then I probably went to the bathroom, and then I put my ring on the charger. That's when I synced it. And then I went for my walk, half an hour or so walk, and then I come home, make breakfast, put around the house, and then here I worked. And those little peaks are probably when I did a few little kettlebell swings, up around there. So again, you don't see anything like this in the app. I mean, you just see the few spikes. You can see, all right, well, obviously I was walking around here, and then there's a few little spikes, and then another peak. So if you're into really quantifying yourself, then this cloud function is awesome. Again, it's just showing like all the data that the Oura is picking up, because I've always known there's so much data in the Oura Ring. Finally, now we can tap into it a lot more clear. So what's this? That must be the peak. I don't know what that little spike was there around, 7:30. It's a weird time to see a peak. Anyway, and then not too sure why there's a gap there either. Again, this was last month, so I can't remember what I was doing these days. And then you can see how I went to bed, and then it just flat lines while I'm sleeping. and it's giving you an average MET score. And again, I won't go into that here because I go into it in the article, so you can read all about that there. What else we got? Activity duration. So yeah, I don't think this breakdown, these numbers in the app either. So I can see 10.5 hours inactive, which is pretty bad. Oh, and that's giving you a breakdown for each tier. So 2.5 hours in low, 12 minutes in medium, and 0 in high. So you can see that was quite a easy day for me. I'd probably guess that the medium activity was, I don't know, maybe I was walking up the hills and doing some big kettlebell swings. The low would have just been moving around the house. So not the best day. I mean, if we pull up another day here, oh, there we go. What's this day? And here you can see a lot more, a lot more. Okay, maybe this was a weekend. A lot more activity going on there. Yeah. So anyway, I'll keep working through this app because there is a lot to show you here. And then calorie burn. So I only did 5,000 steps, which is really low for me. Usually I'm around 8 to, 12,000. So that says I walked 3.5 Ks and expended that many calories. And that total burn, I'm assuming that's based on, my size and my weight, and then adding on that number. Again, though, I don't personally use that. So that's it. I mean, benefits, clearer screen, easier to see all the data. You can quickly cross between other days. You can see when you're moving, when you're not. And yeah, okay. And then the third screen is the readiness. So I'm going to open this up to compare it on my phone. Where are we? Days. All right. So readiness, we've got low and resting heart rate, lowest resting heart rate. That's also in the app. Average HRV, that was also in the app. Yep, down the bottom there. Temperature deviation, yep, that's also in the app. And then all these metrics are also in the app. So there's not really much benefit of logging in here because, you don't really see anything, any difference to what you see in the app. So no real benefit to the cloud with the readiness screen. But, the fact that you have all this other data on hand. So that's a dashboard. So you can quickly pull up a day. You can scroll back by month here. You can scroll back by day. And, you can track your sleep here really simply. If you want to pull up some data, if you're into all your data, this is the place to go. So HRV, I've gone back to a point where they weren't actually tracking HRV. That came in later. So anyway, that's the dashboard. So again, it may be cool to log into this every day instead of checking the app because you can see the data in a lot clearer, more detailed, with a bigger screen, obviously. And you can see a bit more data that you wouldn't see on the app. So that is a cool feature. Very easy to scroll around, see the breakdown of everything. What else? Yeah, a little bit more data there, which is cool. But the real benefit, at least in my mind, is the trends function. So that's what I'm going to show you next. But hopefully that sort of gives you a bit of an overview of the dashboard. I'll just go back a few months. So they obviously, this is October last year, so they obviously weren't tracking heart rate then throughout the night. So you can see, there's so much data here. You can see my sleep breakdowns for months and months and months. Yeah, so we're in November here. Breaths per minute, that respiration rate's a little bit lower. Resting heart rate. Yeah, it's all there. Anyway, I will leave that there. I'm going to go into trends now. So the trends feature is the really cool feature. So you can see my data goes back to June the 1st, but I'm pretty sure I was actually wearing my ring before that. Well before that, actually. I don't know whether that's just when they've started tracking the data from, or if this is just showing a year long, it's capped it out at a year or something, or it's more than a year anyway. Anyway, June the 1st. That's plenty of data here, especially for those who don't have a ring or who are looking at getting a ring soon. So I'm not too sure what this top number is. Oh, that must be... Okay, yeah, so that, whatever graph along the top there is whatever this chart is. Okay, so as you can see, I can pinpoint in on a particular month or date range. If I want to look at November through to February, which is, our summer, I can look at that. I can go to another season. So this is really easy to use. Just drag and drop. You can extend it. Really nice. And then you'll see up here, you've got daily, weekly, monthly. So right now I have my sleep score over all what's that, like 14 months or whatever it is. And it's showing you my daily sleep score, the peaks and trends. The nights where there's gaps like that, I'm assuming that's when I didn't wear my ring, or it went flat, or maybe I traveled. Sometimes, when you're traveling across time zones, it gets messed up a little bit, which is what happened here when I went to the States. But yeah, you're seeing your daily sort of fluctuations, which is cool. But again, for 14 months worth of data, there's a lot of data there. So you can use this filter effect, and it's sort of blends it out a little bit. So now when I look at this, I can actually see my sleep score was quite high, 89. These are averages, right? So again, I like my sleep. And in fact, if you need help with your sleep, check out the sleep resource page on my website, or head to Sound Asleep course, Sound Asleep program, soundasleepcourse.com, and you can get my free sleep tips. Like I love my sleep. So really good data here. I mean, weekly average of 91%. I mean, that's awesome, right? That means in that week, my average was 91%. Drops down a little bit, and then you can see it sort of dropping down come summertime. This is when I was still living in Australia. I actually don't sleep that well in summer because of the heat. So it's only natural as the temperature sort of warms up that I drop. Around this time, we actually moved, which was quite stressful and disruptive to sleep, obviously. And then now you can see it sort of picking back up again. This little drop off here was a couple weeks trip to America. So lots of flying. I think it was like 3 flights, 15-hour flight, one of them was, plus a little holiday in Fiji. So very disruptive. And now we're into winter time, and my sleep's coming back up, 87, 88, 87 again. I don't know why it's dropped off so much right there. I mean, I'll have to look at the exact data, but I can't think of any reason why that's happened. But anyway, that's a weekly breakdown. Then we can smooth it out to monthly, and again, it just smooths the data. So to be honest, I like the weekly one the best because I feel like this is too smooth. It doesn't really show much of the peaks and troughs. I mean, you get a little bit of a drop there, and it was when I went away. You get a little bit of drop when I moved. I guess you can kind of see the overall trends, but yeah, I mean, the monthly, in my opinion, is probably only beneficial if you've got at least 2 years worth of data. So I generally leave it on weekly. Daily is just too messy. Unless you are narrowing in on, just a very small time frame, which is something I might do with my clients. If I've got to look at a particular month, or they've just started with me, that might be all I have. Okay, so I can see what's going on. And you might see some nice patterns here. You might see every Wednesday night their sleep drops it down a little bit or whatever. And then you can ask, well, what's going on Wednesday? Oh, that's the night I have tennis training at 9 o'clock at night. All right, well, that's why your sleep's gone. So yeah, personally, I use the weekly function most of the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it on the full screen to show all my data. And we're going to play around with some of these trend graphs. Okay, so now this is where it's really cool. Oh, what happened there? Sorry about this. Just bear with me. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can always hit the bottom down the corner here and hit the gear icon and change the speed to like 1.25 or 1.5, and it will just play a little bit faster. So now you've got all these graphs, and this is where it gets really exciting. Okay, so at the moment I've got sleep score. I can change it between all of these metrics: respiration rate, what else we got on here? Oh, awake time, total sleep, total bedtime. I can go into activity and see everything: steps, total burn, inactivity rate, low activity, non-wear time. I can go to readiness. I can see my readiness score, HRV, lowest temperature, heart rate, everything. So it's really cool. There's so much data on here, and to see it all in one place is wicked. All right, so the dashboard, what we just saw before, that was more like the day-to-day, like looking at that snapshot in time, looking at a really detailed analysis, which is why, some people, I know some clients of mine, they'll check in on that every day rather than checking their phone. Me personally, I just use my phone, but that's what the dashboard is. It's more of a snapshot. The trends function is looking at that data over time. Okay, so let's just focus on sleep for now. So let's pull up a few graphs. So we've got sleep score, and then you'll see down here you got add chart. So I can actually add other charts. So I'll go, I don't know, awake time, and then I'll go deep sleep time. Okay, so now you've got three charts with the same time frame. It's all smoothed out on the weekly basis, so you can kind of see what was going on. All right, so here when I dropped off, what happened with my wake time. Okay, well, it wasn't because I was waking too much or anything like that, which is good. My deep sleep actually stayed quite high around that time, which is good. I mean, that's showing that, sure, I wasn't in bed as long, or, I wasn't getting the best score, but my deep sleep was actually really high, 1.5 hours, which is pretty much average normal for me, which is a good score. In fact, the sleep score, the reason why it might have dropped off so much here is because it looked at when I went to sleep, or like sleep latency and regular bedtimes. And because of the different time zones, and because I had a few nights at a mate's birthday party, and I was, I had some late flights, early flights, sleeping on planes, that's probably why my sleep score was disrupted. But looking at this data down here, it shows that my sleep actually wasn't that bad. In fact, thinking back, I remember some nights I was lying in bed at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning in Texas, and I just couldn't sleep because it was like midday for me back home. So that's going to reflect a bad sleep score. But when I did get to sleep, and I slept until, say, 11 a.m. the next morning, I actually had a pretty good sleep, which is reflected here. So again, this is the beauty of trends. I mean, you see a bad sleep score and you might think, oh, that was horrible. But when you dig a little bit deeper down, you can see, well, no, actually it wasn't too bad. And this is what I do with my clients. I pull up all this data. All right, so then you can add, what other charts do we have for sleep here? Total bedtime. That's an interesting one. So you can put all these charts on here. It can almost get overwhelming. Probably would be nicer if it was all a little bit compressed. I mean, it would be nicer to maybe see 4 or 5 sort of graphs on the one screen. I've got a pretty big monitor. The fact you got to scroll, so it really limits it down to 3. But anyway, total bedtime. So yeah, you can see that particular travel period was a little bit less. And then I picked up. So looking at the trends in this instance, again, we've already looked at the sleep score over time. Awake time, a little bit higher over summer, just because I don't sleep as well over summer, because I'm in the southern hemisphere, so a little bit warmer there. Deep sleep time, again, it sort of drops off. It's actually dropped off probably a little bit more since then. We're now living in a rental since May, and it's not the best for my sleep. I've found, like, there's street lights, and there's actually a smart meter outside, which is doing my head in, but it's only a temporary thing. So that could be why, it's dropped down here. Total bedtime, pretty consistent, nearing 10 hours in bed. Again, I really like my sleep. So that's a really cool function of the trends screen. And this is just looking at sleep. But now where it gets really cool is we can do correlations between data. So we can say, let's pull up deep sleep time, because a lot of people really focus on deep sleep. And then I'll just quickly look at respiration rate, because that is an interesting reading, a data point. So I'm averaging around 15.5 up to 16 breaths per minute, which is pretty neat. So we've got deep sleep time, and let's compare it with activity. So we'll have activity score and high activity, maybe. Let's go high activity. And now what we can do, leaving the weekly smoothing function, we can actually see if there's any correlations between my high activity score and deep sleep. So when was deep sleep highest or lowest? July was really bad. Around then, my activity was also really, really bad. Okay, there's nothing on the high activity. So whatever was going on then, that was winter last year. Maybe I went into hibernation mode. It's obviously had a bit of an impact on my deep sleep there, but as soon as I got moving again, my deep sleep time picked up. So, I mean, little analysis and correlations like that are pretty neat. What else happened? So when it was really high, so August the 22nd, this is last year, my activity score was coming up a little bit higher as well. High activity didn't change much, but I obviously started moving. And then here, coming into October, my activity, picked up again. You can see a bit of a pickup, but then it dropped down. So, I mean, it's not like total, causation, right? Correlation doesn't mean causation, but you can play around with all these graphs to start seeing if there is a correlation. So there might be something you're like, that's why, but then later on you might find, okay, well, actually, no, that's not why. Maybe it was just a coincidence. But that's the beauty of this trends function. You can see what was happening in a period of time and how that was impacting something. So maybe high activity isn't a good example. Maybe we can do long periods of inactivity. What's another one? Medium activity. Maybe that's a better reading, because high activity is actually quite hard. For me, the way I train, it's like short bursts, so I don't really get into the high activity, you got to kind of keep that high threshold for a period of time. So I feel like medium activity is actually a better representation. So, using this might show some correlations between your deep sleep. So you can really play around with everything here. So then we can go into Readiness Score. And this is where it gets really cool. We can go average HRV with lowest resting heart rate and compare it to deep sleep. So we can see, my heart rate came down quite low there in November. Bit of a spike in deep sleep. Actually, there probably is a bit of a correlation. Oh no, it's kind of broken there. I'm just looking at this data here. Again, I play around with this myself, and I just, I get curious with it. It's something for you that, like with your own data, you need to come in here and just play around. And the fact is, you could literally spend hours in here. I mean, you could break it down to a particular month. You can put the monthly smoothing on and see patterns that way. You can go into your daily smoothing, the daily data, and good luck trying to decipher all that data. That's why I like the weekly one. But there is so much data here. You got what, 12, 16, probably 10, nearly 30 data points on here, and you can compare them all. So steps with, temperature deviation. You can see all sorts of trends, or you can just see what happens in a particular month. So I had a client who had a pretty boozy month, November, December, and everything just took a dive. Like his deep sleep just went straight down, everything. Temperature deviation dropped down. It was actually quite bad. And it was clear as day. You'd be like, all right, well, look what happens when you party. Like everything just takes a turn for the worse. Then he actually had a month dry, like a dry February, I think it was. And you could see his deep sleep shot up. You could see, what else happened? His HRV improved. His resting heart rate actually came down. His resting heart rate when he was drinking, like in that month of partying, was really, really high. So you can see it's clear as day. It's like, well, okay, something went on there. So that's why it's good. I mean, that's why I like having this trend data. I would like to see a little bit more, like, I don't know, some, maybe some closer correlations, like, using some mathematical sort of equations, like if it does show a correlation between two data points, maybe an overlay feature would make it much nicer. If you could put the steps on top of deep sleep, and then you could see straight away if there was an overlay. Again, like I said, being able to see more charts on the one screen. 3 I think is a little bit too restrictive. 4 would be nice. Maybe 5 would be really cool. But I'm sure all these things, again, we're in beta phase, or they're in beta phase, so I'm sure they'll come out with these little features. Like I said, I don't know about the monthly smoothing. I don't know. I don't really get too much value from it. I feel like it's smoothed too much, but that's just me. That's why I like the weekly one. Daily is great if you just want to take a really close look at something. We can drag that in. So yeah, I mean, that's the web dash. I'm sure if you got questions, just head to my blog and leave them in the questions section, and I can answer them. I just wanted to show you more than anything. Like, I didn't want to sort of do a deep dive into my life, because I'm sure you don't really care about that. But I just wanted to show you like what this new feature brings to the table, and how much data it is, and why it is good for athletes who want to track their readiness score over time. And then maybe you want to say, all right, well, you look back at your this is a bad example because we're on daily, but you might use this and say, all right, well, whatever I was doing in May through to June wasn't good for my body, so let's not do that. And that was obviously when I was traveling. For me at the moment, I'm not doing any training, crazy training programs or anything, so you can't really, like, it's pretty flat and everything's so stable with my sleep and stuff. But for someone who was doing like high training loads and then rest, working up to a competition, or had a stressful event going on, I'm sure you'd see some really nice data on here. But again, for me, it's all a little bit boring. Temperature deviation, to be honest, I would like to see that coming up. I'm not too sure why that fluctuates so much. I track my temperature every day, so it would be nice to overlay that on here. But anyway, the data is there, and that's the point of this app. It's just showing you that data, and the dashboard is showing you even more data than the app itself. So really cool. I'm sure it's only going to get better and better as the guys at Oura, figure out how to tap into more of this data and get more takeaways. The app's good because it gives you a little reminder saying, hey, it looks like you had a late meal last night, and hence why your low resting heart rate is way off. I'm sure they'll bring in a functionality like that into the web dash. Maybe it's like, hey, every time you walk more than 5Ks, your sleep's better. Correlations like that would be awesome, because I think that's why so many of us use the Oura Ring. It's to help us improve our lives, help us improve our sleep and our training and our readiness, right? Our performance. With the data on its own, it's cool, but it's not that useful. I mean, if you wake up and you get a number, great. Well, what does that mean? It's the meaning that we're really after, right? And it's tools like this Cloud Dash that enable you to now utilize this data and make more informed decisions. And so very cool feature for online coaches like myself. It's great for clients because now if I'm speaking to a client, I can pull up the data on here and be like, whoa, okay, what happened in this month? And okay, I can look at their sleep data for each night and see exactly what's going on. So my sleep, not to brag, but it is pretty good. You can see those sort of cycles, most of the deep sleep happening at the start of the night. They're pretty good sleep numbers there. But I might see a client's one and they're waking every half an hour, and I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? What's causing that? Or I might see a client's one and they're waking at 4 o'clock every night. Okay, well, why? Let's dig down deeper. So that's the beauty of it. Apparently, they're going to be releasing a more of a coaching platform. So at the moment with my clients, I have to get their login details and log into their account, which is a bit annoying, but I'm sure again that will improve given that it is better. So anyway, that's enough. That's all from me from the web dash side of things. You can see my full review at alexfergus.com. Just Google Alex Fergus and Oura Ring review and it should be the first thing that comes up. It is quite a long review, so you can skip to the bottom section for the latest updates. Finally, if you do want to purchase an Oura Ring, I have a discount code on my site as well for the Oura Ring, so that knocks 10% off. So head over there and check that out. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Cheers.